The spokesman for President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan has downplayed the imprisonment of journalists in Turkey, saying that the case related to the jailed reporters in the country is hugely exaggerated and brushing off criticism leveled against Ankara for being increasingly intolerant of the media. İbrahim Kalın, Erdoğan's chief advisor as well as his spokesperson, told a group of Turkey watchers in Washington on Wednesday that the journalists who are behind bars were not locked up for their reporting but for their terrorist activities. Kalın's speech was part of an annual conference organized by SETA, a state-funded think tank for the government, and addressed a range of regional developments, but not his own country's foreign policy. I could only hear 1 or 2 sentences about Turkey. The rest was about the region, one of the participants complained. Kalın doled out criticisms to almost every actor in Turkey's vicinity, ranging from Egypt's military junta to the regime in Damascus, slamming the European Union for treating Muslims poorly and criticizing Iran for its sectarian and expansive policies. After his speech, one of the participants confronted Kalın on domestic politics. "We can speak freely here in Washington," the participant started. "What about in Turkey? Is Erdoğan the leader of a democracy or is he a dictator?" he asked. Kalın's initial reaction was to put the blame on what he called Turkey's complicated media environment. He said media seek to monopolize power in the name of free expression and vice versa. Imprisonment of journalists in Turkey was hugely and unfairly exaggerated, and it became a tool of propaganda in the past couple of years, Kalın stressed, reiterating an official line of defense regarding deteriorating media freedoms. Turkey's media freedom record has been an utter disappointment in the West as it saw a sudden decline in the third term of the ruling Justice and Development Party, AK party, often characterized by allegations of massive corruption. A voice recording released last year, for example, revealed that Kalın discussed if a bribe he was to receive could be laundered through SETA's budget. Ever since the corruption scandal went public, Ankara has intensified its crackdown on the media, jailing more than a dozen journalists. 2 of them still remain behind bars, without any indictment or a court trial date. When quizzed about media freedoms abroad, Turkish officials usually claim there are half a dozen journalists in jail and that they have been convicted on damning terrorism charges. However, they always and deliberately ignore the imprisonment of STV executive Hidayet Karaca and Taraf columnist Mehmet Baransu. Kalın followed suit and did not mention the 2 journalists, who remain jailed pending trial. Both of them are locked up in Silivri prison, some 30 miles west of Istanbul. Baransu has been kept in solitary confinement for nearly 3 months. Kalın complained about low-level attacks against government officials and said campaigns of blackmail and smear campaigns against President Erdoğan are unprecedented. He said Turkey enjoys vibrant and dynamic media, with a daily newspaper readership of 5 million. Turkey never sent arms to Syria. On Turkey's foreign policy, Kalın was asked about Syria-bound trucks that were allegedly carrying arms to territory held by the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, ISIL. A few days ago, senior AK party official Yasin Aktay said during a dispute with Kurdish residents that Turkey sent trucks full of arms to the Free Syrian Army, FSA, to fight against ISIL and help Kurds in Kobani, a key Syrian border town. Turkey has never sent arms to any groups in Syria, Kalın said, adding that he has no idea why Aktay made such a remark. He said one should stick to the official state line, which is that Turkey did not send weapons to Syria. Kalın's remarks on the trucks prosecutors in Adana ordered be intercepted earlier last year were the first official denial of Aktay's statement. The prosecutors who ordered the interception of the trucks en route to Syria were recently jailed and indicted. The prosecutors said in their defense that they officially registered the weapons in the trucks and that a plate of one of the trucks carrying arms belonged to a man who was previously convicted of aiding al-Qaeda. On Wednesday, Turkish opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu said he saw video footage showing weapons in the trucks. The government has been frenetic in working to hush up the scandal to avoid being accused by Western capitals of direct support for Syrian radical groups. Turkey is deeply obsessed with the removal of Syria's embattled President Bashar al-Assad and has been pushing the West, and in particular Washington, to broaden its strategy in Syria to also include fighting against the Assad regime. Its joint program with the US in training and equipping Syrian rebels has been delayed several times over technical issues. But sources say the two countries have difficulty in determining the objective and goal of the program. Turkey usually denies it supplied weapons or any lethal aid to the radical groups in Syria. Western media extensively covered how Turkey kept its borders open to benefit groups fighting against Assad, supplied them with arms or facilitated Gulf and Libyan arms transfer via its territory. Elections red line for U.S. Kalın's speech at the event was a prelude to day-long panel discussions that debated Turkey's foreign and domestic policy. Atayan Mahkupyan, a former aide to Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu, said during a panel discussion that the ruling AK party had been shielding against a number of coup attempts and embraced the Gülen movement to help avert such hostile attacks. It was necessary for the AK party to survive, Mahkupyan, a former columnist at the Zaman Daily, said. Mahkupyan added that the nascent government was also seeking to gain legitimacy and launching membership negotiations with the European Union was an effective way to achieve it. Speaking about the 2013 military coup in Egypt, Mahkupyan said Western silence on Egypt convinced Turkish authorities that the West will remain silent if a similar thing were to happen in Turkey. James Jeffrey, a former U.S. ambassador to Turkey, said Turkish-US relations are solid as long as they're based on core national security interests. When asked if the democratic regression in Turkey could have an impact on the ties between the two countries, Jeffrey said there are a wide range of bilateral affairs that would take precedence over human rights violations in Turkey. He noted that the right of every Turkish citizen to cast his or her own ballot is a red line for the U.S. in its dealings with Turkey.